Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. I don't know if anyone else is slated to do this welcome, but I'll just go for it. We're glad to have you here. We've got updates from the Title III program, which I'll start out and then toss to Judy for some next steps. And then we've got the group from the Campus Service Day here as well. So I'm going to go through our results from fall 2017 as quickly as possible. We do invite you to ask questions, but because we need the microphone to catch this for those watching online, we probably will do questions at the end. So keep those in mind. I've got some updates on supplemental instruction, learning assistance, and the Writing Center, and just a couple updates on professional advising. We will spend most of the time talking about the first two categories simply because Dana, our professional advisor, joined us very late in October, and so we really only had 5 weeks of data from that fall semester that we're looking at today. So that's why we don't necessarily have all of that currently, but we hope to provide you a spring update maybe next fall for our full year. So again, we'll take some questions at the end, but I will kind of tick through the most important things that we learned. So for those of you that aren't aware, supplemental instruction, brand new to DSU this year, not brand new across the country. In fact, several universities throughout the U.S. and abroad use SI. It is essentially an embedded tutor. We hire an SI leader who has taken the class before, succeeded at a level that meets the requirements, and then that SI leader actually attends class with their peers and then actually hosts 3 sessions throughout the week that students can come and kind of talk about course content. They'll design study guides, presentations, or maybe just have a study session or essay writing. So that's kind of what SI is. It was brand new to DSU this year. We will kind of talk a little bit, maybe at the end I can clarify some things, but one of the things that we've shared with those of you that with those of you that attended some of our lunch updates was overall, the numbers were a little bit smaller than we had expected this first year. That said, I think that you'll see we had a very effective program. Those students that did attend demonstrated some tremendous progress and improvement, and so we're really excited to take this summer and kind of use what we've learned now that we have something that's effective, that's working, that's translating into improved grades, then we can work on growing it for next year. So here's a few of the things that we were able to pull together from fall 17. In fall 2017, 84% of the students who attended SI completed the course with a C or higher. And for comparison, only 51% of students who did not attend SI completed the course with a C or higher. Overall, students who attended SI earned 1 letter grade higher than those who didn't attend SI. Christy provided some peer data here, just again, for comparison. The SI group was kind of coming in at a 2.8. The non-SI group was a 1.6, so even more than a full letter grade. And as you can see, we're very much on trend with the four-year public institutions. Students who utilize SI had a 33% higher success rate than students who chose not to use SI. Some of you may be wondering how we have chosen the SI classes for this fall. We had Comp 1, Comp 2, US History, and World Lit. We based that on DFW rates or DWF rates here on campus. So anything above a C we consider successful, and we infuse these resources into classes with those highest DFW rates. Who is using SI? This is something that I really spend some time talking to the classes and our SI leaders. One of the things, because this was a new program, not very many students knew what SI was, and those that knew what it was or had heard about it sort of assumed that it's either for students who are very much challenged by the course content, perhaps not achieving that C or higher, or the students that will be there regardless, want those bonus points or whatever sort of incentive that the professor is providing. But one thing we learned in the fall was that 41% of students attended at least 1 session. So this is something that we're, again, going to start promoting now that we have this data. Next year, again, just to show students that it's really for a student at any level who wants to improve their skills, their grade, various facets of their program. Of the students who earned an A in these SI courses, 65% of those had attended SI. So again, it's not just for students who are struggling in course content, even though we chose courses that are typically challenging for students at DSU. This is a bit difficult to read, but I'll kind of explain. We've got the SI group is in blue and the non-SI group is in yellow. And these are the DFW rates for SI and non-SI courses. Again, DSU is here on the left. You can see we're at 16% who did not succeed despite attending SI, as compared to 49% who did not succeed and did not attend SI. So again, some really significant impacts, and we actually have a much broader range than even the four-year public data that was provided by the University of Missouri, Kansas City. A quick note on institutional impact. So in general, students in SI pilot courses who attended had higher midterm success, overall success, and persistence rates than those who did not attend. A note here, and Christy can maybe elaborate if there are any questions. This is calculated using all 4 courses. Depending on the specific course, these numbers may vary. One of the things that we were challenged by was maybe lower attended classes that translated to lower attended sessions. So we did want to combine those to really get the most accurate picture. The midterm success rate of those who utilized SI was 78%. Those who did not, it was 71%. And you can also see the persistence rate. Again, these are not dramatic increases, but certainly the one thing that we've seen across the board in all 3 objectives is that we are going in the right direction. Our numbers are higher than the baseline or the comparison, whether it's 4% or in some cases higher than that. And so we're excited to continue to add spring data and continuous years of the grant to really make those numbers hopefully even a wider range. Learning assistance is our second objective. This is something that kind of terminology-wise in the grant, it's called learning assistance. We received approval to sort of repackage this as the DSU Writing Center. So those two are really one and the same. We've got, so our learning assistants are the DSU Writing Center staff. Again, we had really higher than expected usage rates in the fall of 2017. This was our first year, the first time that DSU has had at least a physical presence of a writing center. We had 345 appointments held. Much more than that were scheduled. That was one of the things that we worked on between fall and spring. 113 students utilized the writing center, so that's unique students. You can kind of compare that to the total number of appointments, and then 50 of those returned at least once. So again, the first year of a writing center, these numbers certainly exceeded the targets that I had set. And because of that, we actually, our learning assistants were so busy and so consistently filled on their schedules that we got to hire another learning assistant for the spring semester. So again, we hope that this growth continues, but in fall 2017, we're really pleased with the usage rates of that first semester. The pre and post test, this may be something we can clarify if anyone has any questions here at the end, so I won't spend too much time on this. In select classes, we deliver a pre-test at the beginning of the semester and a post-test at the end of the semester. As you may know, we are a part of a federal grant, and they're obviously very interested in outcomes and metrics, and so this was our way to sort of measure improvement in reading, writing, and critical thinking. So 62 students in the fall took the pre and post test, and we did see obviously an increase. You see that bottom number in the pre-test was 33%. That went up to 46%, and then the kind of the top of the spectrum also increased to the highest score possible. So an average of 13 points higher, or no, the lower score was 13 points higher, excuse me, and the highest score is now the highest possible score. So again, this is only 62 students. We had many more than that use the Writing Center. You do not have to take the pre and post test to use the Writing Center, but this was sort of our pilot group in the humanities for this first year. And we'll talk a little bit about what that will look like for next year as well. The feedback on the Writing Center, this is one of my favorite slides to present. I apologize to those of you who may have seen this presentation in another form before, but again, I won't read through all of these, but really what we're hearing, I'll definitely use this again. I think that for the most part, students are pleasantly surprised at the Writing Center model. They may be thinking that they're going to come in and someone has a red pen and is going to just change everything in their essay. And really, we've imagined this as more of a conversation. The student kind of identifies their priorities and we work with them to get them there. So we have a lot of comments come in. I've had a few, I really didn't want to come in. I was forced to be here, but now I see why, and I'll be back. So we're really pleased, again, with the really good work of our Writing Center staff as well. Faculty feedback, same thing. I won't read all of this, but it's just been overwhelmingly positive. This is the area that I get the most emails, or walking down the hall, someone stops me to kind of tell us what a great job that the students in the Writing Center are doing, and what a needed resource this was for DSU's campus. We have 3 out of the 4 colleges are requesting resources or requiring Writing Center usage. So this summer I'll hopefully work with all 4 colleges to find a way to work in all of these different curriculums. And lastly, the faculty who responded to our evaluation, 100% of those agree that their students benefited from using the Writing Center. Lastly, we have professional advising. Again, I only have one slide for you on this because this is fall data, and we got our professional advisor, Dana, in here on, I think, October 30th. So it was about 5 weeks of data. So really, we've got persistence rates for you. But again, like everything, we're wrapping up the spring semester, and we're excited to add in those numbers to all of these different objectives and kind of see what we can build from there. But again, not a dramatic increase, but like we've seen in other areas, when Christy looks at these, we're seeing that the cohort as part of the Title III is persisting at a higher rate than maybe the institutional baseline. So I've got a few thank yous here before I turn it over to Judy. I won't read all of the names. These are names you've seen before when we introduced what we were up to, but you've got the SI faculty from summer 2017, the learning assistance faculty. These faculty worked very closely with me over the summer to develop some of the materials, the metrics, the outcomes, the competencies, all of that fun stuff. Our SI leaders, learning assistants, and peer coaches. I think we only have the one here, but I just wanted Viana, if you want to wave, that's Viana Waldner. She's one of our SI leaders this year and is returning as a Writing Center staff next year. One of the things we were really pleased about, obviously, is the quality of the students working for us, and of those that can return, which means of those that are coming back to DSU next year, all of the students want to continue to be a part of our program. So we're really pleased about that, not only because they're excellent students, but also because it shows that these are not just valuable for the students that are utilizing the resources, but a valuable experience for those that choose to work on our team. Again, I'm not going to read through all of this, but we just want to say a special thank you to the faculty who have encouraged students to use the Writing Center. I know it was a brand new service, and we had some technical difficulties early on, but we were, again, really pleased with the number of students that were utilizing this service. So you can kind of see here on the left our faculty members who delivered that pre and post test and really made it a priority, likely reached out to me and said, how can I get involved? How can I make sure that my students are using the Writing Center? So again, kind of a proactive approach to using the Writing Center in their classes and across the curriculum. You can see this isn't just English faculty. And then finally, I just wanted to recognize on the right-hand side, these are the faculty whose students are most often utilizing the Writing Center. So whether that is direct promotion or the fact that they've invited me to classes or to do workshops. We really appreciate anyone who sends students to the Writing Center, but on this slide are those faculty who maybe kind of went above and beyond to encourage that. And finally, my last slide. These 3 new programs would really not have been possible without the help of several individuals and departments across our campus. So you can see here on the left, we've got individuals that helped us from everything from filming to resource development to D2L to just materials that they had developed that did apply to the Title III program and kind of helped us not have to reinvent the wheel. A couple Starfish individuals on there as well. And then on the right, again, are just departments and staffs that we were constantly calling on, whether it was to help us renovate a room or install brand new technology across all of our departments, and as well as students who participated in some of our promotional videos. And again, we just really want to thank everyone who's here today or who may be watching that helped us make this first year of the program a success and helped us learn what we want to update for next year. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Dittman, who is going to tell you kind of about our next steps.
Thanks for coming. You have a question? You can?
It's just the microphone that's the issue. I can bring it.
Okay.
Before we leave this, Casey, the SI activities, are these structured activities? Are they tutoring? Is it mandatory, or are the students self-selected into it?
Good question. So the answer is yes. We have several SI activities that are structured. The model is that a student would actually plan a lesson based on what's covered in class. The type of courses that we selected, again, based just on those DFW rates, were composition courses. And so we're hoping that we can have more structured lessons as we move into the math and sciences. Our SI leaders did prepare individual lessons, but we found that for the most part, students wanted help on individual writing assignments and had questions that kind of were beyond that structured. So I guess we have a balance of pre-planned lessons, pre-planned activities, and the SI leaders here to answer your questions. So we hope to move much closer to the structure standpoint, again, because I think it will set up well for math and science. And we were actually kind of competing with ourselves, having SI in composition and literature, because certainly the Writing Center is a really good model to support students in that class. That's also a good question. So again, the second part of this question was if students self-select to participate or are in any way required. This was one of the things that we probably learned the most this year. We do not require students to attend SI. This is for a number of reasons, but primarily because it's 3 hours a week, and it's a very specific 3 hours a week, so some students simply can't attend. So we incentivize it. Every faculty does it a little bit differently. I guess in my fall SI class, we had, if you missed a quiz, you would have to attend 3 SI sessions to be able to make that up. Or if you missed a class, or if you would like to revise an essay or things like that. I connected that to SI, so it was more incentivized and encouraged than it was required, and that's just simply because of those 3 hours a week.
The reason I bring this up is I know you've only had so much data so far, but just methodologically speaking, if it's self-select, are you concerned within a section without a whole lot of longitudinal data that the students that are self-selecting to do the SI activities are just more motivated to begin with? And I'm just interested.
Yeah, this was something that was asked at one of our lunch updates as well, a version of this question, and we're definitely considering ways we can approach this. One of the things that we're working against, which is a benefit, it's something we love about DSU, the small class sizes. So we really didn't have maybe a control group within a class, because in some cases we only had 11 students in these classes. So we really wanted to make it as open as possible. But we definitely saw, again, students from earning every grade on the map attending, and so there was a wide variety of students that were attending. Yep.
Remember, this was just one semester of data. I mean, we're not even through a year yet. We'll be through a year when the spring semester is over. As Casey mentioned, we had some very small section sizes. Unfortunately, our English had 9 students in it. And so it's hard to do a lot of things with data. We certainly understand your self-select question, and that, like I said, we've talked about strategies of how we get all students to go. As Casey mentioned, I think one of the lot of benefits to SI, but certainly one of them is how to study. When you go to SI sessions, you learn how to study. I mean, the research does show that you become more acclimated. When you work with a group, even though you might not like working with a group, again, good things happen in a group setting when you're studying together. And so those are the kinds of things that we're trying to really encourage, embrace in our SI. We've got a ways to go. We understand that. You know, we've always been very upfront about our numbers, that we know there are issues. So we acknowledge that upfront. But it is what it is at this point based on what the grant says we're supposed to be doing. So it'll be fun to see this spring's numbers because we do have more students participating.
Something we also looked at too, and to kind of follow up with what Judy's saying, is we looked at midterm success rates. So those students who had received a deficiency in the SI course, and then those, basically if you received a deficiency and you utilized SI, and then were you able to be successful at the end of the term, and we looked at that. And so that was one of the slides that Casey presented as well. And so those who had a deficiency at midterm and utilized SI had a 78% success rate compared to those that did not utilize SI, and that was a 71% success rate. So
thank you. Casey can answer that one better than I can, probably.
I'm trying to remember what our survey actually said. We really didn't, I don't think Chrissy asked the question, why did you opt out of the service? That was one of the things that we were trying to figure out, why the numbers were the way they are, and perhaps we should add that into a question. Mm-hmm.
I will say the last, about 4 or 5 weeks, Casey and I met with all of the SI faculty and asked them to, would you consider doing something to get students motivated to get there so they at least can pass the class? Hopefully get a C or better, but at least to get through the class. And they were all very willing to do something. And again, I'll drop one of your scores on a quiz if you'll go to SI X number of times. I think because it is a new culture on this, and this is one of the reasons that we've had a number of forums and tried to reach as many people as we can on campus, is this is for all the colleges. I mean, every college will be involved at some point. It happens that arts and sciences was first because of the courses that were chosen, and because of it was the humanities was the category that was chosen. But every college will have, by the time we're done, will have a professional advisor. We have any number of courses, econ, accounting, business statistics, biology 151, math 102. I'm trying to think of some of them in year 5, but so it really does run the gamut. And I'm very pleased to see a number of you who are here because you're also critical in sending the message. I mean, if you know about SI and your work study's having a problem or whatever, you can help them. Or if they're struggling in writing, you can tell them about the Writing Center. You know, I don't know how many different ways we can send the message, but still the best message sent is by people. So, like I said, I'm very pleased to see all of you here so that you can help us with the message. So, thanks. I want to say, Casey's thanking the facilities management team. I got to tell you, we were all over them. We had all kinds of issues over there, from water up to our knees, to smell, to this, to that, to moving. I mean, it was a four-ring circus at times over there. So we do thank Corey and his gang. Also, poor Tyler, didn't know if he was coming or going sometimes, but we tried to set him as straight as we could, that he was going to the LEC to work on the things that we needed doing. So again, a lot of people to thank and a lot of reasons for it to be successful. And before I forget, I want to make sure that I do thank the group that I work with. Casey has done an absolutely phenomenal job with putting together the training for our students. You know, all of these comments that our student helpers are getting are because they have been well trained. They're great people. I mean, we're getting more and more education students. She's in English ed, and the benefit to them, I mean, they've told us what a great benefit it is for them to do these kinds of activities, especially if you're going into teaching writing and reading and critical thinking. Christy does our magic with the data, and we all know how that works. So she does a great job. And then Dana, who we just brought on in October, we have much more fun things for her to do next year. We'll be part of what we wanted to do with our professional advisors is get them on board soon enough so that they could go to GS 100s. They could help the GS 100 person or hold sessions on time management, how to study, different critical thinking kinds of skills. So it's not just about advising and getting them into classes. All of us know that who've done advising. Getting them into the right classes is a small part of what we do, or at least what we should be doing as a great academic advisor. So we've got some things there that, you know, she's been kind of bored. So Casey put her to work putting together some best practices stuff. So really looking forward to getting into the second year. We are right now in what we call year 2. It's a 5-year grant. The first year was based only on getting the right people into place, meaning Casey and Christy and Dana and myself. I guess that could be argued, but the rest of them is getting the right people in place and getting the LEC up and running for all the things that we need to do. Unfortunately, government DOE contracts like this, their year is from October 1st to September 30th, so it does not jive with our academic calendar in any way. In fact, a lot of the requests that I have to make back to our DOE representative is, I want to hire the professional advisors and have them in by April 21st. Because then we're starting with registration, those students are assigned to that person, and we're ready to go. College of Arts and Sciences was very cooperative and flexible with us this year, but it wasn't an ideal situation because we had to assign them to a faculty, and then there's confusion, not only with the faculty, but then when Dana come in and the students kind of going, well, who do I go to? So this year we won't have that. Dana will be in place. Like I said, I'm requesting to try and get them hired much quicker so that they are in place and we don't have that confusion, and we can do, I think, a much more effective job with it. This summer, this is kind of the pattern that we have. This summer, we'll have 2 faculty who will design and develop the pre and post tests that Casey talked about, that would measure reading, writing, and critical thinking. And this time, instead of being for the humanities, it's for the social sciences. So all of the faculty who teach social sciences, which isn't a lot, I found out, we don't offer a lot of social science gen ed classes or classes. We will ask, in fact, I've got around to all of them but one now, do you have writing in your courses so that you can ask your students to use the Writing Center? Because this is the group that takes the pre and post test, okay? So better numbers we have, the better data we're going to get. It could be econ, it could be Dr. Johnson's social classes, Dr. Midland's EPSY class, Dr. Klumper's course that he teaches in the social science, so and Dr. Forbes Boyd, who teaches a number of the geography classes. So that's what they will do this summer. And then we do the pre and post tests will be administered in those students. So August or early September, whatever, we'll do the pre-test for all of those classes that fall into our category. And then in December, we'll do the post-tests. And then Christy runs the data. And then in January, we do the same thing. We identify those same courses that will have some writing assignments. And we don't ask that they don't have to be a thesis, or in fact, 1 and 2 and 3 pages is really ideal, because more of them with less pages is more advantageous for us to be able to help students. Make sense? Also in the summer of 18, we will determine our SI faculty based on the courses that need to be taught. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is Biology 151, Math 102, and then we've got one more course that we're looking at. I have to, again, get permission from DOE and DC to be able to make that change. And so that's where we're at right now. So I'm not letting the cat out of the bag just yet, because in case he says no. Our second professional advising coach will be hired, and that person will have incoming on-campus students in the Beacom College. I was hoping Dean Hansen would be here so I could tell him that right now. So, dang it. And then our Writing Center and our SI students are being hired now, and as Casey mentioned before, all of them who are not seniors are returning, and the continuity in that in and of itself is fantastic. All right, so what happens then in year 4? Now, that was year 3. We're in year 2. That was year 3. Now we're in year 4. Basically the same kinds of things. The courses change. We then will hire 2 professional advisors. So our area of measuring for our pre and post test is education. So we'll look at writing and reading again and the skills there. Summer SI, we've got business stats, we've got computer science, and we have accounting. So we will be heavily into the College of BIS. And obviously Beacom as well. We'll advertise for our 3rd and 4th professional advisors for BIS and for the College of Ed, and then that'll be it. That's all of those. And then again, Casey will work on hiring our Writing Center and our SI students. It's nice if she can get those students hired right now, because she can do some of the training, and then they have a little better idea of what will be expected of them for next year. And I mean, we've got them just developing all kinds of cool stuff that none of us thought about. So that's why it's really a hot deal. The grant ends in 2021. Summer of 22 faculty will design and develop an exam measuring reasoning skills for science. So that's our concentration. And then also faculty will develop SI for principles of macro and survey of calc, because again, those have have a greater than 25% DWF rate, and then we will do recommendations and requests for those areas that we think we need to institutionalize. And obviously that's always the goal with a grant like this, is to be able to pilot things, find out what works, what doesn't work, and then how we bring it to become a part of the institution. So our writing center obviously will be a priority. With getting funding to be able to continue doing that. How many professional advisors we will need, we'll know by year 4 and 5. So, questions? The man in the back row.
Hey, Judy, you said that professional advisors are mainly look at the incoming students, right? How like in the future, do you see them expanding that vertically? Or?
Yeah, actually that is a part of the grant. The first year is for incoming freshmen, first-time full-time incoming freshmen. Then it moves to online students. And then the third round, and only arts and sciences, maybe 2 of them, we'll get to that point. It's actually figuring out, I forget, what is it called? Career advising. So, and then the last year, like again, what would be for arts and sciences, just because they were the first one on, it's for transfers. More of them will be kind of chunked in, and particularly depending on the number of online advisees. That's one of the questions we had with arts and sciences, is they don't have online degrees, so we are asking permission to continue our first year advising and do basically the same thing that we were supposed to do this year, only we didn't get to do it. So, yeah. Other questions? I gotta leave Mindy some time here. Okay, well, thank you again for attending. We really appreciate your support.
All right, I'm just gonna make a few comments. For those that don't know, my name's Mandy Parpart. I'm the Director of Student Activities and New Student Orientation, and I'm here today to talk about Day of Service. Most of you, I've seen your names on the list already, so thank you for signing up. We are at, currently we have 237 people that have signed up. Our goal actually is 475, so we've got some work to do, and any assistance that you all can do to make that happen would be very helpful. We have about 32 projects that we have confirmed for this year. We will be working on confirming how many of them we can maybe do some things indoors, or we'll encourage people to wear waders, because I think we'll be at that point next week. We have done everything as far as the weather, and this will be year 3 of doing Day of Service, and we have yet to have an ideal day. I think actually the weather looks good for Wednesday, but it will be wet, and we might have to get some campus canoes or something to get around town. So we bought ponchos in the thought that maybe that would mean that it would be nice out, and so I guess that's what we're getting now. So next year we'll have to buy some mud boots or something. So like I said, our goal this year is 475, with the hours being 1,600. We did have right around 1,500 hours last year, and we think that we can still achieve that. The thing that I'll say is we do include people that are doing their student teaching right now. Those are included in our numbers because, again, it's part of their class, but in a lot of ways they're providing a service, and so we think that definitely counts. So for any of you that may have online students, I would strongly encourage them to even go out and sign up under the general volunteer option, and then they can actually email me directly and with the number of hours, and I'm going to say we're going to count those. So the great thing is that Dr. Griffiths, again, has agreed to put some money into a scholarship for every hour that is done for day of service, which is always beneficial for our students. For anybody that signs up, they get a t-shirt and a bag, and they get their meal tickets as well. So we will start next Wednesday at noon with registration, just kind of I guess more not registration, but check-in. And they'll get all of their stuff from their team lead and get a chance to eat. And then we'll probably get out to the projects around 1:30. So that's a great question. The sign up, so Marcus sent out an email to all staff and all students. I just looked at the calendar invite and it's not on there, so I'll work with Jane and Barb to make sure that it gets on when you go to the main website and go to the day of service, just what's going on kind of thing, that make sure that it's included in there. The other thing is we do have a table in the Trojan Center that you can just go and we have computers there that you can just sign up. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. Okay, I don't know if we also just do general questions or if I'm the end and that's good. I'm looking at Marcus in the hope that you know what. Okay, no more questions. So thank you. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.